Minimalism is going to present a number of ideas that we've dealt with already, but kind of combine them a little bit differently. And here we're going to focus on minimalist sculpture, although you could argue that much of post-painterly abstraction, of course, was also minimalism. Now, when we're looking at minimalist sculpture, we're looking at work that is seen as extending that abstract idea that art should have its own reality. In other words, they're not trying to imitate anything. They're not trying to take a piece of stone and make it imitate a person, such as the David. Instead, the medium or the material which makes up a sculpture and the form of the work is the reality. What does this mean? It means they're trying to be honest to the material. They're also trying to remove the artist's hand from it. So oftentimes they will use mass manufacturing techniques to create their works because it allows them to, these industrial processes will allow them to create perfect edges and remove many of the elements that could be interpreted by a viewer. They're trying to create a sense of reality, a sense that what they've created is what they've created. There isn't more to it. And so we see these very simple forms. Oftentimes they're going to be rectilinear, but not always. And they're always going to be characterized by an honesty to their material, getting back at that Clement Greenberg idea of honesty to material that we've been dealing with since abstract expressionism. They're just going a different direction with it, and they're applying it to sculpture as opposed to applying it to painting. Now, these works tend to be very simple. When you see a large copper box, it's a large copper box. There isn't necessarily more to be read into it, at least not from the artist. Now, when I say that, it's a little misleading because, in fact, you will read into it. You have no choice. Simply by looking at it, you're going to start interpreting it. That being said, what you're going to do is apply your own meaning to it, apply your own interpretation. And again, something like this simple copper box is going to have meaning because as you look at, if you're in a good mood, you might see it as possibility. If you're in a bad mood, you might see it as emptiness, loneliness, or isolation. There's a number of different directions you can take it. And so what they're doing ultimately is looking for the universal and doing so through a sense of honesty to their materials, applying the ideas of post-painterly abstraction, De Stijl, Greenberg, all of these ideas into an area that hasn't been applied up until this point.